Extra, extra, we should all be very concerned by the crisis facing quality journalism. Says who? Well, says the head of a newspaper chain that produces copious quantities of flake news. That's who. So John Honderich, the chair of TorStar, the parent company of the Toronto Star and numerous other Canadian newspapers, recently penned a column entitled, "We should all be very concerned by the crisis facing quality journalism." Translation? We need a handout. Newspapers these days make for a sunset industry. If the 20th century was the heyday of print, then the 21st century is its swan song. Prior to the internet and before the emergence of social media, newspapers were an essential source of information, but with very few exceptions, most newspapers have failed to evolve in order to monetize online content. Now, I don't say this with any amount of glee. For decades, I worked in the print industry and I still subscribe to several old school newspapers and magazines, but I'll bet you there's an entire generation of people out there who have never cracked open a newspaper and likely never will. So it is that the chair of TorStar has been reduced to singing for his supper like some subway station busker. In his 10-point manifesto on why we all need to be concerned with quality journalism, it quickly becomes clear that the real crisis is the nose-diving market valuation of TorStar Corp. For example, in January 2004, a TorStar share was worth $30.61. Today, that same share stands at a paltry $1.55. Clearly, fewer and fewer people, and advertisers for that matter, are buying what the Toronto Star is selling. From an ideological standpoint, this does not surprise me in the slightest. When Honderich calls the Star's content quality journalism, I think much of it qualifies as flake news. On the Star's roster is a litany of far-left social justice warrior columnists who frequently dine out on subjects such as white privilege, racism, white privilege, sexism, white privilege. Oh, did we mention white privilege? And while the Star supposedly subscribes to the philosophy of comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable, the newsmakers that the Star chooses to laud and condemn makes one raise a Spockian eyebrow. For example, when it was revealed last year that an imam at the Toronto Masjid Mosque was preaching hatred towards Jews, the Star ran an epic 6,500-word report that essentially served as a PR piece for the imam, suggesting all that hateful stuff about the Jews, well, it was all a big misunderstanding, something lost in the translation. The apologetic opus was penned by Jennifer Yang, the Star's identity and inequality reporter. I swear, that's her title, Identity and Inequality Reporter. And it's a title that speaks volumes in terms of the Star's social justice agenda. In any event, what to do when the rubes aren't forking over a loonie for a newspaper anymore, and so many advertisers are abandoning ship? Well, naturally, Honderich suggests that taxpayers need to prop up the falling Star. He notes, quote, "For the past several years, Ottawa has followed a digital-first strategy in placement of federal ads. That in turn has led to a reduction in the proportion of federal spending for daily newspaper ads by 96% and for community newspaper ads by 21%, end quote. The fatal flaw here, as far as I can see, is why does any federal government need to advertise? It's not as if they're in competition with another government, but if they must advertise for whatever reason, they're obviously going where the eyeballs are. But snagging more government ads is just the beginning of TorStar's wish list. Honderich also wants a taxpayer handout a la the CBC, writes Honderich. Just 1% of Ottawa's total funding to the CBC would pay for more than half the Toronto Star's newsroom. Oh, sure then, why not? Just put it on the tab. Plenty of dough in the taxpayer trough to prop up something fewer and fewer taxpayers actually desire. Besides, do you have any idea how much those imported silk bow ties cost? In fact, propping up TorStar would be akin to rewarding failure. I point to a fascinating article in the Financial Post from 2016 in which author Terry Corcoran examines the business acumen of TorStar over the last several decades. In the final analysis, it seems that almost every time TorStar made a business decision, it chose wrongly. Honderich and Company probably would have had a better track record if they based their decisions on a coin flip. In fairness, I did reach out to Mr. Honderich for comment. His assistant told me he would be unavailable, as in forever unavailable. TorStar's head honcho sure likes to talk a mean game when it comes to quality journalism, but apparently he has no appetite in actually contributing to the process. In the meantime, he's now reduced to shilling for a government bailout facilitated by you, the taxpayer. Doesn't look like he's going to get it though, but if he does prevail, perhaps the name of TorStar's Hogtown flagship newspaper should be changed. How does the Toronto Daily Bombardier sound? For the Rebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, if you like that commentary, please consider becoming a premium Rebel subscriber and never again miss another Rebel video.